Well, we'd like to welcome you all to another edition of our Bible in Plain View broadcast. This is a platform where we teach the Holy Word of God in plain view so that we all can, through the grace of God, maintain and sustain a better understanding and even a greater understanding on God and on His Holy Word. I will be your teacher for this afternoon's lesson, Brother Joseph. My reader for this lesson will be Brother Chris. This is part 2 from last month when I taught part 1, the overall standings concerning the righteous, a just man. Now in part 1, we touched on how that the Lord weighs a just man concerning his overall standings with him. And the Lord does that with everybody that falls under the banner of being just. Now, in part 2, we actually going to get very specific concerning 3 men out of the Holy Bible that were all just men. But yet these just men, they failed. But yet they still remain righteous on the overall. They overall stands with the Lord still remain righteous. They remain just in God's eyesight. But yet these 3 men did things, behaved in ungodly ways at times throughout their walk to become a literal son of God. We're going to first start out with Moses. Let's go to Numbers, the 12th chapter. Numbers 12. We're going to read the first 8 verses. Go ahead and read, Chris.
And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of an Ethiopian woman whom he had married. For he had married an Ethiopian woman.
Go ahead.
And they said, hath the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses?
Go ahead.
Have he not spoken also by us?
Go ahead and read.
And the Lord heard it.
So the Lord heard this now. Go ahead.
Now the man Moses was very meek.
Wait a minute. Moses was very arrogant.
Very meek.
Go ahead.
Above all men which were upon the face of the earth.
Go ahead.
And the Lord spake suddenly unto Moses and unto Aaron and unto Miriam, come out ye 3 in the tabernacle of the congregation. And there 3 came out.
Verse 5.
And the Lord came down to the pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth.
Go ahead.
And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I the Lord will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream.
Verse 7.
My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all my house.
So how will the Lord deal with his servant Moses? Go ahead and read verse 8.
With him will I speak mouth to mouth.
Oh, so the Lord dealt with his servant Moses like how I can deal with Brother Chris, speaking to him in the flesh, mouth to mouth. Go ahead.
Even apparently, and not in dark speeches, and the similitude of the Lord shall be behold.
Go ahead.
Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
So here's Moses here, a man that the Bible describes that he was very meek, above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. Moses carried this reputation about him. We're going to take this a step further. Let's go to Exodus 33. Exodus 33. Moses was meek, above all the men upon the face of the earth. But yet we're going to find out that Moses, he failed. But yet he was a just man. But he failed. But that did not wipe away his whole overall righteous pedigree with the Lord. It didn't do away with it. Even though he had a stain on his spiritual resume, it did not wipe out his overall standards with the Lord as being righteous, as being just in God's eyesight. Exodus 33. And we're going to read verses 18 through 23. When you get it, go ahead.
And he said, I beseech thee, show me thy glory.
Wait a minute now. So we're going to get to when Moses failed. But first we get to when Moses made an error. We're going to find out right here that the Lord allowed for Moses to see some of his own glory. Go ahead.
And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before thee.
Go ahead.
And will be gracious to whom I will be gracious.
Yes.
And will show mercy on whom I will show mercy.
Verse 20.
And he said, thou canst not see my face.
So the Lord told Moses not, because Moses wanted to see God's glory. He wanted to see his body. He wanted to see him. But the Lord told him, he said, thou canst not see my face. Go ahead.
For there shall no man see me and live.
So the Lord said, shall no man see me and live. Go ahead.
And the Lord said, behold, there is a place by me.
The Lord said unto Moses, now, take heed, Moses. Now there is a place by me. Go ahead.
And thou shalt stand upon the rock.
I want you to stand upon the rock, Moses. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass while my glory passes by.
Now it's going to come to pass, Moses, that when my glory pass by, when I pass by you, go ahead.
That I will put thee in the cleft of the rock. And will cover thee with my hand while I pass by. And I will take away my hand.
So as I'm passing by, Moses, at the cliff of this rock, I'm going to cover thee with my hand while I pass by, and I will take away my hand, and thou shalt see what?
My back parts, but my face shall not be seen.
Because we just found out that the Lord told Moses that thou canst not see my face, for there shall no man see me and live.
That's right.
Now we found out that Moses was a meek man above all the men upon the face of the earth. Now we found out here this same meek Moses, the Lord allowed him to see his back parts. But even with all of this, Moses still dropped the ball somewhere. We're going to find that out. Let's go to Numbers 20. Numbers the 20th chapter. Numbers 20. Because just because a just man fall, because a just man do ungodly deeds at times, that don't mean that he's no longer on the overall just with the Lord. We must keep this in memory. Numbers 20. Numbers 20. And we're going to read verses 7 through 12. Numbers 20 and verses 7 through 12. Numbers 20 and verses 7 through 12. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Take the rod, and gather thou as the assembly together, thou and Aaron thy brother, and speak ye into the rock before their eyes.
Go ahead.
And it shall give forth his water, and thou shalt bring forth to them water out of the rock. So thou shalt give the congregation and their beasts drink.
Verse 9.
And Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he commanded him.
So he is not Moses. He took the rod from the Lord as the Lord commanded Moses to do. Go ahead.
And Moses and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock. And he said unto them,
what did he say?
Hear now, ye rebels.
Wait a minute. He called the children of, he called them rebels. He called them rebels. Go ahead.
Must we fetch you water out of this rock?
He said, must we fetch, must we bring you water out of this rock? He say, hear now, ye rebels. Moses ain't got angry now. Go ahead.
And Moses lifted up his hand, and with his rod he smote the rock twice.
So Moses lifted up his hand, with the rod in his hand, and with the rod, he smoked the rock twice. He hit it twice. Go ahead.
And the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their beasts also.
But let's see now that because of this deed that Moses did, because he allowed his anger to get the best of him to the point where he lost his composure. Let's see what the Lord told him, and let's see what was passed out unto Moses and what God prevented Moses from seeing. Go ahead.
Verse 12.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron, because ye believe me not to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel.
Oh, the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron. He said, because ye believe me not. You didn't have enough faith in me to sanctify me, not yourself, but me, the Lord, in the eyes of the children of Israel. Therefore ye shall what?
Not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them.
Also, sisters and brothers, Moses. Because Moses, this is the same Moses that was meek above all the men upon the face of the earth. The same man the Lord allowed to see his back parts. This is the same man that did not enter into the promised land. He didn't get to enter into it. Why? Because of this right here. But he failed. But yet Moses was still a just man. But he failed right here.
That's right.
But is Moses, did God cast away Moses? Did he do away with Moses? No. Moses' overall body of work, his overall standards with the Lord remained righteous. It remained just enough to stay on God's good side. Let's go to our second just man. Let's go to King David. Let's go to 1 Samuel 13. 1 Samuel, the 13th chapter. 1 Samuel 13. First Samuel, the 13th chapter. Because we first dealt with Moses. Now we're going to deal with King David. 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel, the 13th chapter. 1 Samuel 13. 1 Samuel 13. And we're going to read two verses, 13 through 24. Go ahead and read.
And Samuel said to Saul, Thou hast done foolishly. Thou hast not kept the commandment of the Lord thy God, which he commanded thee.
Go ahead.
For now would the Lord have established thy kingdom upon Israel forever.
So Samuel said to Saul, he said, because thou hast done foolishly. Thou hast not kept the commandment of the Lord thy God, because Saul dropped the ball. Saul got so wicked, the Lord cut Saul off. He had enough of Saul. The Lord said, which he commanded thee, for now would the Lord have established thy kingdom upon Israel forever. Go ahead.
But now thy kingdom shall not continue.
Oh, your kingdom ain't gonna continue, Saul. Go ahead.
The Lord has sought him a man after his own heart.
We're going to find out who this man is. Go ahead.
And the Lord hath commanded him to be a captain over his people, because thou hast not kept which the Lord commanded thee.
Go ahead, and we're going to take this a step further and go to Acts, the 13th chapter. So the Lord was done with Saul. He was done with Saul. We can read in another place where the Lord said he didn't want nobody, he didn't even want, it's in another place where it's written, how the Lord was so done with Saul, he didn't want you even, I'm done with Saul. Quit making mention of him to me. I'm done with him. Let's go to Acts, the 13th chapter. Acts 13. We're dealing with our second just man here. King David. Acts, the 13th chapter.
All right.
Acts 13. Acts, the 13th chapter. And we're going to read three verses. 21 through 23. Acts 13, verses 21 through 23. Go ahead and read.
And afterward, they desired a king, and God gave unto them Saul, the son of Cis, a man of the tribe of Benjamin, by the space of 40 years.
Oh, because God's people Israel, they desired a king. God gave unto them Saul, the son of Cis, a man of the tribe of Benjamin, by the space of how many years?
40 years.
Go ahead.
And when he had removed him,
also when the Lord took away Saul, what happened?
He raised up unto them David to be their king.
Oh, he raised up unto them David to be their king. Go ahead.
To whom also he gave testimony and said,
what did he say?
I have found David the son of Jesse, a man after my own heart.
Wait a minute, we just got through reading this in 1 Samuel 13. He say, I have sought me a man after my own heart. Now we confirming it here in Acts the 13th chapter that it was David who came to be known as King David. He said, I have found David. He said, when he had removed him, talking about Saul, he raised up unto them David to be their king, to whom also he gave testimony and said, I have found David the son of Jesse, a man after mine own heart, which shall what?
Fulfill all my will.
And that is what David did. Even though we're going to find out that David dropped the ball, he messed up big time, but he still fulfilled God's will. Let's see how David dropped the ball. Let's go to 2 Samuel 11. 2 Samuel 11. Because David did something here extremely grievous in God's eyesight. And it was sinful. A willful sin he committed right here. 2 Samuel 11. 2 Samuel 11. 2 Samuel 11. And we're going to read the first 4 verses in this chapter. 2 Samuel 11. And we're going to read 1 through 4. 2 Samuel 11. And we're going to read 1 through 4. 2 Samuel 11. And we're going to read 1 through 4. Go ahead.
And it came to pass, after the year was expired,
go ahead,
at the time when kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah, but David tarried still at Jerusalem.
So David still stayed at Jerusalem. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass in the evening, the evening tide,
Go ahead.
that David rose from off his bed.
Now here's David now. And it came to pass in the evening time that David arose from off his bed. Go ahead.
And walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman and washing herself.
Now here's David now. He arose from off his bed. He walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself. Go ahead.
And the woman was very beautiful to look upon.
She was beautiful, very beautiful, the Bible tells us to look upon. David was physically attracted to her. But David crossed the line. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And David sent and inquired after the woman, and one said, Is not this Bathsheba?
So David sent and he inquired after this one. He inquired about this woman. That when he looked upon her and she was washing herself, the woman was very beautiful to look upon. And David sent and inquired after the woman to find out about her. Go ahead.
The daughter of Elam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite.
Go ahead.
And David sent messengers and took her, and she came in to him, and he lay with her, for she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned into her house.
But wait a minute now, we got us a problem here. Somebody messed up. David messed up because he slept with a woman that was married to somebody else. That's why I asked here, and one said, Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? This woman is married, David. David was supposed to say, okay, no, that's off limits. She's off limits. I can't do that. That's committing adultery. The Lord had written in Exodus 20 and Deuteronomy 5, thou shalt not commit adultery. But David, he fulfilled the lust of his own flesh. He committed adultery with this woman. And later on, it's not in this lesson, but even further down, David, he tried to cover it up. He tried to frame somebody else. He messed up. He even committed murder. Now, David killed in the Bible, but enough of that, or a lot of that, was allowed by the Lord because it was done righteously. But this right here, he sinned. He committed adultery. But this David was a man after God's own heart, sisters and brothers. But a man even after God's own heart that David was, he still committed a willful sin. Because the book tells us in Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, verse 20, For there is not a just man upon earth that doeth good and sinneth not. David was a just man. You got to be just in God's eyesight if he describes you as a man after his own heart. And he indeed was just that. But he committed adultery here. He dropped the ball. The Lord dealt with him. He didn't kill him, but he still dealt with him. Let's go to our third just man. Let's go to 2 Chronicles, the 1st chapter. We're going to now pick up Solomon. 2 Chronicles, the 1st chapter. 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 And we're going to read verses 6 to 12. Go ahead.
And Solomon went up thither to the brazen altar before the Lord, which was at the tabernacle of the congregation, and offered 1,000 burnt offerings upon it. And that night did God appear unto Solomon and said unto him, Ask what I shall give thee.
So in that night, God appeared unto Solomon, and he said unto him, Ask what I shall give thee. Go ahead and read.
And Solomon said unto God, Thou hast showed great mercy unto David my father, and hast made me to reign in his stead.
Go ahead and read.
Now, O Lord God, let thy promise unto David my father be established. For thou hast made me king over people like the dust of the earth in multitude.
Go ahead.
Give me now wisdom and knowledge, that I may go out, come before this people. For who can judge this thy people that is so great?
So Solomon here, he didn't ask God for money, for physical material possessions, for material gain. He asked him for wisdom and knowledge that he may know how to deal with Israel, God's people, his chosen people. Go ahead and read.
And God said to Solomon, because this was in thine heart.
So God said to Solomon now, because this that you asked of me to give you wisdom and knowledge. Go ahead.
And thou shalt hast not asked riches.
And thou hast not asked riches. Go ahead.
Wealth. Or honor.
Go ahead.
Nor the life of thine enemies.
Solomon, so you didn't even ask for riches. You didn't ask for wealth. You didn't ask for honor. You didn't ask even for the life of your enemies, for them to be killed. Go ahead.
Neither yet has asked long life.
Solomon, you didn't even ask for your mortal life to be extended. Go ahead and read.
But hast asked wisdom and knowledge for thyself.
Go ahead.
That thou mayest judge my people, over whom I made thee king.
Go ahead.
Wisdom and knowledge is granted unto thee.
So the Lord granted Solomon wisdom and knowledge, because Solomon's heart was in the right place. He is a just man, once again, that we are reading about. Go ahead and read.
And I will give thee riches and wealth and honor,
yes,
such as none of the kings have had that have been before thee. Neither shall there any after thee have thy like. My bad.
Neither shall there any after thee have the like. In other words, even none after you ain't gonna be adorned like how I'm gonna adorn you. Because not only am I gonna give you what you have asked of me to give you, which was wisdom and knowledge, I'm going to also give you these other things that you didn't even ask of me to give you. I'm going to give you riches, Solomon. I'm going to give you wealth, Solomon. I'm going to give you honor, because your heart was in the right place with me. You asked for wisdom and knowledge. Most people will not ask for that. But you knew that that was required, needed to govern, to be a king over my people Israel. Let's go to 1 Kings 10. 1 Kings 10. 1 Kings 10. First Kings, the 10th chapter. 1 Kings 10. 1 Kings 10. And we're going to read, we're going to do a little skipping. 1 Kings 10, and we're going to start at verse 1. Okay. Because we're going to deal with the Queen of Sheba. How she was so amazed at the wisdom and knowledge that God installed, invested in King Solomon. Go ahead.
Verse 1. And when the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord.
Go ahead. Wait a minute. Concerning the name of Solomon.
Concerning the name of the Lord.
Go ahead.
She came to prove him with hard questions.
Easy questions.
Hard questions.
Go ahead. Skip down and read verse 3.
And Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hid from the king which he told her not.
So Solomon told her, he answered all of Queen Sheba's questions. This man was a wise man. Extremely wise. The wise man that ever lived, except for Jesus Christ when he was on this earth as a flesh and blood man. But with the exception of Jesus when he was a man, this man was the wisest man that ever lived. Go ahead.
And when the Queen of Sheba had seen all Solomon's wisdom...
I'm sorry. Skip down and read verse 6 for the sake of time.
And she said to the king, it was true report that I heard in my own land of they acts and of thy wisdom.
So she told Solomon, she said, it was a true report, Solomon, that I heard in mine own land of thy acts and of thy wisdom. Go ahead and read.
Verse 7. Howbeit I believed not the words until I came.
Wait a minute. Howbeit now, nevertheless now, I believed not the words until I came, and mine what?
And my eyes had seen it.
Go ahead. So I had to see this thing for myself, King Solomon. I heard about your fame. I heard about your wisdom. But now I know for myself that you are a wise man. Go ahead.
And behold, the half was not told me, thy wisdom and prosperity exceeded the fame which I heard.
So half of this was not even told to me, Solomon. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Happy are thy men, happy are these thy servants.
Go ahead and read.
Which stand continually before thee, and that hear thy wisdom.
Because it is a blessing from the Lord when you got a wise king ruling over the people. Go ahead and read verse 9.
Blessed be the Lord thy God,
go ahead,
which delighted in thee,
yes,
to set thee on the throne of Israel.
This is Queen of Sheba telling Solomon that. She said, blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighted in thee. God delighted in you, King Solomon. And he even set you on the throne of Israel. King Solomon. We read about King David. Now we're reading about King Solomon. Go ahead and read.
Because the Lord loved Israel forever.
Yes, he does. Go ahead.
Therefore made he thee king to do judgment and justice.
Skip down and read verses 23 through 24.
So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom.
Wait a minute. So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. So not only did he exceed all the kings of the earth in wisdom, for wisdom, but also for riches. King Solomon was draped. The Lord did this to King Solomon. Read verse 24.
And all the earth sought to Solomon to hear his wisdom, which God had put in his heart.
Wait a minute. So this wisdom that King Solomon possessed was not his own wisdom. This wisdom came directly from God himself. That's why it says here, and all the earth sought to Solomon to hear his wisdom. But not his own wisdom, the wisdom of the Lord, which God had put in his heart, meaning his mind. That's why the Queen of Sheba was she couldn't believe it. She was amazed at this. She enjoyed it. Solomon was a wise man. And he exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. But as Solomon got older, sisters and brothers, he dropped the ball as well. Let's go to 1 Kings 11, next chapter. Start reading verses 1 through 4. Go ahead.
But King Solomon loved many strange women.
Wait a minute. So this became his problem. He loved many strange women. Go ahead.
Together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites,
the Ammonites,
Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites.
Go ahead.
Of the nation concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, you shall not go into them, neither shall they come into you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love.
So the Lord did not want Solomon doing this because the Lord knew for sure they was going to turn his heart, meaning his mind, away from God and to start dealing with their gods, which are false gods. But Solomon clave unto these in love. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart.
Wait a minute. His wives turned away his heart? Didn't the Lord just say in verse 2 that for surely, he said, you shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. He said, for surely they will turn away your heart, meaning your mind, after their gods. They're going to turn you away from me, Solomon. And you are going to be seduced by their gods. You're going to be dealing with their gods instead of dealing with me. Go ahead and read verse 4.
For it came to pass when Solomon was old.
When Solomon was young. Go ahead.
That his wives turned away his heart after other gods.
Wait a minute. So Solomon, as he got old, as Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart, meaning his mind, after other gods. Go ahead.
And his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father.
Skip down and read the last few verses, verses 6 through 9.
And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord.
Wait a minute. This is King Solomon here. The man that God calls to be king over Israel. A man that exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. You mean this same Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord? Go ahead.
And went not fully after the Lord as did David his father.
Because David also dropped the ball. But he was a just man. Go ahead.
Then did Solomon build a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem.
Go ahead.
And for Moloch, the abomination of the children of Ammon.
Verse 8.
And likewise did he for his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods.
Verse 9.
And the Lord was angry with Solomon.
The Lord was happy with Solomon.
The Lord was angry with
The Lord
Solomon.
was happy with Solomon.
The Lord was angry with Solomon.
Go ahead.
Because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice.
Later on, sisters and brothers, you can read that because of this deed, this evil that Solomon did in the eyesight of the Lord, he called for the nation of Israel to be split because of what Solomon did.
That's right.
So, sisters and brothers, this is part 2 of the overall standards concerning the righteous, a just man. I thank you all for your time.